Good day, everyone! Thank you for joining us today. So for today's symposium, we'll be talking about bias algorithm, how social media shapes what we see, think, and believe. In this discussion, we'll explore how social media algorithms actually work, how they can become biased, and more importantly, how they affect Filipino youth and students, especially in shaping opinions, beliefs, and decisions online. This topic is very relevant today because most of us use social media every single day, sometimes without realizing how much it influences us. So, what really is an algorithm? An algorithm is basically a set of instructions used by digital platforms to decide what content we see. For example, what appears on our Facebook feed or TikTok For You page. Now, a bias algorithm happens when these systems produce unfair or one-sided results. According to Fazlpour and Danks, this bias doesn't just happen randomly. It often comes from human decisions, limited data, and existing social inequalities that are built into technology. This matters a lot today because social media platforms are powered by artificial intelligence. And since young people and students are very active online, we're among the most affected users when these systems make biased decisions. Before we go deeper, let's look at the situation here in the Philippines. The Philippines is actually known as one of the most active social media using countries in the world. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, about 80.5% of Filipinos aged 10 to 64 use the internet for social media. On top of that, Data Portal reported that in 2025, there were over 90 million social media user identities in the country, and more than 93% of internet users are active on social media. Platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube are especially popular among youth and students. Because many young Filipinos rely on these platforms for news and information, algorithms have a powerful influence on what we see and believe. Now, let's dive into how bias algorithms actually work. Social media algorithms personalize content based on our behavior, what we like, share, watch, or search. While this personalization keeps us engaged, it also creates what we call filter bubbles and echo chambers. This means we keep seeing content that matches our existing beliefs, while opposing views slowly disappear from our feeds. The problem is that algorithms usually prioritize engagement over accuracy. So emotional, shocking, or misleading content often spreads faster than factual information. Over time, this creates cycles where misinformation keeps repeating and feels true simply because we see it often.
To better understand this, let's look at a real-world example. During the 2022 Philippine national elections, social media played a major role in influencing voters. Algorithms amplified political content based on user preferences, which resulted in repeated exposure to one-sided political narratives. Investigations show that misinformation and historical distortions spread widely, especially in Facebook and TikTok. Young voters and students were particularly affected because they rely heavily on social media for political information. The documentary The Social Media Dilemma explains how platforms promote content that keeps users engaged even if it increases polarization or spreads misleading information. So how serious is this problem? The data gives us a clear picture. According to the 2025 Reuters Institute Digital News report, around 63 to 67% of Filipinos are concerned about misinformation online. Actually, it is the highest level recorded so far. The report also found that 68% of Filipinos encountered disinformation on Facebook, followed by TikTok and YouTube. These platforms rely heavily on algorithms to decide what content goes viral. Also, 66% of Filipinos use Facebook as a main source of political news, almost equal to television and search engines. This shows just how powerful algorithm-driven platforms have become a source for information. So what does this mean for youth and students? Constant exposure to personalized and biased content can weaken critical thinking skills. It becomes harder to tell the difference between reliable information and misinformation. Studies show that biased digital systems can influence students' confidence, beliefs, and even social relationships. Algorithm-driven polarization can also lead to online conflicts and the spread of misleading content among students. And most importantly, repeated exposure to one-sided information increases the risk of manipulation, especially during elections and major social issues.
Now you might be wondering why this is such a big deal. Bias algorithms don't just affect individuals, they affect democracy, education, and society as a whole. When people base decisions on misinformation, informed participation in democratic processes becomes weaker. Researchers explain that algorithmic bias can make discrimination and misinformation seem normal because it's hidden inside the automated systems. In the Philippines, you can imagine that this issue is alarming because today's youth are tomorrow's voters, leaders, and educators. Ignoring this issue allows misinformation culture to continuously grow. So what can be done to address this issue? Well, there are two things. First, technology companies must be transparent about how their algorithms work. Regular audits and ethical design practices can help identify and reduce bias. Second, governments and schools also have a role to play by promoting responsible artificial intelligence and digital accountability. Experts emphasize that solving algorithmic bias requires technical, social, and ethical solutions working together, not just technical fixes alone. Now, let us focus on what students themselves can do. Youth can protect themselves by strengthening their media and information literacy skills. These skills include fact-checking, using credible sources, and being aware that algorithms shape what we see online. Schools should also teach digital literacy and critical thinking because it helps students recognize bias and question automated systems. Simply following diverse perspectives and verified news can already reduce the effects of echo chambers.
To wrap everything up, bias algorithms play a major role in shaping what Filipino youth see, read, and believe online. While algorithms are powerful tools, they are not neutral. They can reinforce misinformation, inequality, and polarization. Because Filipino students are among the most active social media users, they are especially vulnerable to algorithmic bias. Addressing this issue requires awareness, education, ethical technology, and responsible media use. Being informed and critical digital citizens is essential for protecting truth, democracy, and the future of Philippine society. Always remember that awareness is a key defense against manipulation. Kindly scan this QR code to verify and check the references used in this presentation, including academic journals, national statistics, and international reports that support the data and arguments discussed. Thank you so much for listening and magandang buhay!
This is my data, very confidential. Keep it protected, it is influential. This is my data, they should not control. This is my data, it is part of my soul. My feed is so biased, shows the same every day. Only what I like keeps the truth far away. Algorithm controls it, hides the other side, keeps me blinded in my bubble, stuck inside. That is wrong, that is wrong. Do not just believe it. Always double check the things you see on your feed. Algorithm choosing things must be corrected. That is wrong, that is wrong. We must stay informed. Your choices get tracked. Every search, every tap recommending the same things. Like a loop or a trap, system is unfair. Voices disappear, we must call it out loud. Make the message clear. That is wrong, that is wrong. Do not let it guide you. Find the facts yourself. Do not let it fool you. Algorithm choosing things must be corrected. That is wrong, that is wrong. We must stay informed. This is my data, give us fairness now. No more bias, we will take control.